I am joined today by MMA up-and-comer Halleigh Haak. She is making her pro MMA debut this week. You are taking on Lene Lovato. No relation to Demi Lovato. At least I think so, right? I mean, we looked her up. I don't think she's related to Demi at all. This fight's taking place at AAA MMA 4 Caged Hostility. You, of course, have been training for a couple years now. This is your first pro fight. What's this ride been like for you leading up to your first pro bout?
It's been different. For my amateur fights, I trained with the guys in the gym and stuff from my fight team the same, but now that it's pro, they've upped their training of me quite a bit with the intensity level. I wasn't really expecting that. I knew that the pro circuit is a lot more intense than the amateur circuit, but I did not expect the demeanor change in the gym. But the guys have really stepped up, my coaches and my teammates, as far as pushing me even harder to get ready for this one than they did for the other amateur one.
And what drew you into the sport? Because even though women's MMA is growing, not everybody always thinks that the first thing a young woman's going to do is say, hey, rather than soccer or the other sport, I'm going to go into the most physical sport in the world.
Right. Yeah, my dad actually started doing it. He's a police officer, and he started doing it, I think for, some self-defense, kind of street combat reasons and everything. And so I was around it. I had seen it, and I kind of started doing a little bit of training with him. And, if anybody who's ever done it can tell you, it gets really addicting really fast. The more you learn, the more you want to learn. And you want to get in there and spar and roll and everything. So I ended up joining a gym in the Abilene area where I lived, and met my coach, who is, now my coach, Brandon Ferran, and just completely fell in love with it. It's fighting, but it's a sport, and it really is addicting to just get in there and perform. I mean, it is an art to be able to get in there and, avoid punches and throw them and do the ground and the cage. And
now, your father has a martial arts background, of course, but did the recent surge of women's MMA, especially now that it's in the UFC, did that really get you, maybe perhaps fast track you into this career path?
Yes, it did actually. I was going to be done because I'm in grad school, getting my master's right now and everything. And then it just really took off, for as far as the big leagues go. Invicta got really popular, and then UFC started signing women. And I realized I wasn't done because I wanted to be there. I was quite jealous of all the girls that were getting signed and everything. And so that surge in some popularity really amped me up to stick with it and not stop just because I was moving.
These days, I feel like there's a hell of a lot more clamoring for women's MMA than there was maybe, say, 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, definitely. I mean, even in the last year, it has gotten easier, I think, for women to get fights. I know it has for me, and in the Texas area, more promoters within the last couple of years are looking for female fighters now. They want at least one per card. And so there's just been this rise in popularity with women's MMA that has really opened so many opportunities for women out there that are getting started in their careers now. There's just all these opportunities for them to just go out there and, make themselves known and really push the sport forward.
And you're so young, I mean, in your career, do you really have a style as far as like would you describe yourself as a stand-up fighter, a wrestler, a ground fighter? What would you say is the best description of your fight style, if you have one at this point?
It's hard to say. I train with a bunch of stand-up fighters, but at the gym, we work to be well-rounded. We don't want to get in the cage and end up in a position and not have any training there and just be completely lost. So we try to work everything. And going into MMA, I would have said from the very beginning that, I was a ground fighter, but then I had my first fight and I really enjoyed the stand-up as well. In all honesty, I think I just enjoy I would say my style is just excitement. When it comes to MMA, I like to bring a lot of intensity to the cage and just really kind of see what we can do to keep the fight amped up and to keep it flowing, going quick. And, I like to stay prepared for it to be anywhere. That way there's never a dull moment within the fight.
I just got a press release, actually, from your employer, and it's saying that Johnny Big Rig Hendricks is actually going to be cage side. Any more added pressure now that you have the UFC welterweight contender at cage side?
Yes, I am a big Johnny Hendricks fan. I think he's an amazing fighter, and it's just kind of one of those with him there. The performance means a lot more now. You've got somebody there who has made it, and it is his career. And so if you can impress him, it's just, you can really go places with it. So it just adds pressure to perform at your best and to not make any mistakes, just to show him, like, look what I can do, and, maybe get an in with, the UFC and try and, get up there pretty quick.
Definitely. Now, did you think that he won the GSP fight, or did you have it for the champ?
I thought he won, and coming from me, that's saying a lot, because I'm actually a very big GSP fan. I stood in line for 5 hours once to meet him, and I was very, very shocked when that fight did not go Johnny Hendricks' way.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a close fight. I mean, I had it for Hendricks too, although I had a bunch of angry GSP fans tell me how wrong I was. But hey, oh well, we'll agree to disagree. Before we get out of here, where can fans find you online if they want to learn more about you?
It's hard to say. There's not a lot about me out there. I do have a Facebook page. It's Halleigh Nicole. Just Halleigh.Nicole as the Facebook URL.
Oh man, no Twitter yet? Come on, every fighter's on Twitter now.
I had some friends in college try and get me to get a Twitter, and it just wasn't my thing. I guess I'm not online enough. I rarely even really use my Facebook anymore. I'm starting to use it a little bit more now that I'm getting into fighting. And I use an Instagram a little bit more now that I'm, getting into these fights and everything. But there's not much. And I do know if you do Google me, you're going to have some shocking results, because all that comes up is stuff about like what I did in college, and it's not really MMA related at all. So